Hey everybody, Billy Bob here, and it's St. Patrick's Day. And I'm not celebrating, not yet, probably not at all. Why, you ask? Well, maybe I'm just an old curmudgeon like Andy Rooney. Or maybe I got stuff to do. By the way, we got to do the tax thing today at 4:30. By the time we're done with that, you know that every damn bar in town is going to be full of the green and probably quite a few drunks. So I don't know that we'll make it out, but here we are. So what is St. Patrick's Day? I mean, well, I know it's a day for everybody to think they're Irish and they go out and they drink beer and eat corned beef and cabbage. So what else? But there actually was a St. Patrick, and he was born, well, not he was born. Let's go back. He died on this day, on March 17th, 461 AD, in Downpatrick, Ireland. And so, because he was famous, he was an apostle of Ireland, and he was honored with the holiday of St. Patrick's Day. Now, every year, so it's every year on the anniversary of his death. But he wasn't really a saint. He was unofficially declared a saint. He wasn't like some are in Great Britain, they're knighted, and the church makes certain people, gives them their sainthood. Well, he was not declared an official saint, but he's the unofficial St. Patrick. And we don't really know how old he was. I guess he was in his 70s. Some say he was born in 385 AD. Some say 387. Does it really matter? He was actually a legend in Ireland. He lived a legendary life. They don't know a lot about him, but there's this book called the Confessio that a book he actually wrote in his late years. He was born in Roman. You think I've been drinking? He was born in Roman Britain, okay, which is now Wales, Western England, or Southern Scotland, and his family was kind of a well-to-do family back in the day. So he was captured, and they figure he was enslaved around the age of 16. He worked the fields. He was, the Irish marauders are the ones supposedly that kidnapped him. But eventually he made his way back to Britain on a ship, I guess. So it says, with his family. And that's St. Patrick. But then people ask, so why are we wearing green? I guess because it's Ireland? Not necessarily. We're wearing green because it blends with the tradition of Irish nationalism, folklore, and religious symbolism. Originally, St. Patrick wore blue, but green came linked through the Irish Rebellion with the British back in 1798. So, just think, there might have been a day where we were all wearing blue, but no, we're wearing the Irish green. And so wearing green on St. Patrick's Day supposedly protects you from getting pinched by leprechauns. That's why you're wearing green. Not only because of the Irish heritage, but because you don't want to get pinched by a leprechaun. Although maybe some of you do. Maybe some of you like it. And then there's the shamrock, right? The old shamrock, but not a 4-leaf, a 3-leaf shamrock. And this was said to have, to explain, priests use it to explain the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And it also then led, the green with the religious teachings. Is there a color that you shouldn't wear? Now, interestingly enough, Ireland the colors are green and white and orange, right? But wearing orange on this day is historically considered to be controversial because, get this one, political connotations. We don't know anything about political connotations, do we? Not here in the good old US of A. And then there's corned beef and cabbage. Why corned beef and cabbage? I didn't know. I just thought, Irish. But it was actually, the corned beef and cabbage tradition was born in America, because in Ireland, beef was very expensive and was only really available to the wealthy. But when the Irish came to America, beef, and specifically corned beef, was very inexpensive. And so then they added cabbage as an additive, to make it a more of a full meal, and they made it festive. Hence, corned beef and cabbage. And how did the Irish even get here? A lot of them, because of the potato famine, they migrated to the United States. So it wasn't just because they loved corned beef and cabbage, and a lot of the corned beef they got was from the Jewish community. See how this all melds together? Are you getting me now? And then there's the beer and Irish whiskey. It's the Guinness is what they drink in Ireland, right? But here is the other reason for drinking beer and whiskey and corned beef and cabbage during Lent. And, in Ireland, there's the Catholics, there's the Protestants, and so there goes your political connotation again. But, so for the Catholics, you have to give up a lot of things during Lent, but St. Paddy's Day is that one free pass, that one day that you can have whatever you want. But then you got to go back tomorrow to Behaven for Lent, to give up all the things. You don't eat beef, you eat fish on Friday, and on and on and on. Y'all get it. And speaking of beer, again, I'm going to the tax dude, but for later on, I got a green beer, a can that's green with beer, and a big, beautiful Billy Bob Bud Light in blue. So we've got the original blue represented, and then we have the more common green represented. So we got it all covered. Now, did I miss something? Is there one more thing you really want to know about? Think about it. I bet there is. All right. You give? Here we go. The origin of Kiss Me, I'm Irish. Well, that comes from the original Blarney Stone, which, if you kiss the Blarney Stone, that was the promise of the gift of gab or eloquency to those who kissed it. But, the Blarney Stone is in the Blarney Castle in Ireland. So that makes it very difficult for a lot of people to kiss the Blarney Stone, right? So instead, you would kiss an Irish person, and on St. Paddy's Day, everybody's Irish. So that became the more popular way of doing it. So to receive the same good luck and eloquency on St. Patrick's Day. And there you have it. A little bit of this and a little bit of that on the history of St. Patrick's Day. America, land of the free, because of our brave men and women in the military. Stay focused, America. Billy Bob, peace out.